troops deployed in the Andaman and Nicobar Islands and a tableau of newly constituted Union territory of Ladakh made their debut in the parade. However, for the first time in over 5 decades, the Republic Day parade had no foreign dignitary as chief guest, as British Prime Minister Boris Johnson, who was supposed to come to India, had to cancel his visit at the last minute due to a spike in new strain COVID cases in his country. Also, this time there was no participation of military veterans and motorcycle-borne daredevils who used to be the parade's centre of attraction in past years. Due to COVID restrictions, even the route of the marching contingents were curtailed to the National Stadium, unlike last time when it was still the Red Fort. Unfurling of the tricolour and a tree plantation drive on India's 72nd Republic Day marked the formal launch of the Ayodhya Mosque project at Dhanipur village, 25 kilometres off Ram Janmabhoomi, exactly 6 months after the Sunni Waqf Board constituted the Mosque Trust, the Indo-Islamic Cultural Foundation, following the Apex Court's verdict that mandated construction of a temple at the Ram Janmabhoomi and a mosque in the district in lieu of the Babri Masjid. Tens of thousands of protesting farmers have driven long lines of tractors into India's capital today, breaking through police barricades, defying tear gas and storming the historic Red Fort as the nation celebrated Republic Day. Farmers protesting against agricultural reforms breached the barricades and clashed with police in the capital, who fired tear gas to restrain them shortly after a convoy of tractors trundled through Delhi's outskirts. And major scenes of chaos and mayhem at Delhi's borders as groups of these farmers allegedly broke the barricades and police checkposts and entered the national capital before permitted timings. Thousands of them protesting against the contentious farm laws broke police barricades and clashed with cops at several places in the national capital. And chaotic scenes prevailed in Delhi NCR after the farmers protesting against the 3 farm laws clashed with police at several places. The Samyukta Kisan Morcha, a joint front of the protesting farmer unions, condemned the violence that erupted in the capital and blamed anti-social elements for infiltrating the Republic Day tractor agitation. It is Union Home Minister Amit Shah holding a meeting with Delhi police and other officials to take stock of the law and order situation after the protests turned violent. Aam Aadmi Party condemning the violence at the farmers' protest, and internet was temporarily suspended in parts of Delhi NCR. The World Health Organization issued fresh clinical advice for treating COVID-19 patients, including those displaying persistent symptoms after recovery, and also said it advised using low-dose coagulants to prevent blood clots. President Joe Biden said the United States should be closing in on COVID herd immunity by summer. This mass vaccination is now becoming available in the spring, and he appeared to boost his goal for the vaccinations in his first 100 days in office, suggesting the nation could soon be injecting 1.5 million shots on an average per day. The first case of a coronavirus variant that recently emerged in Brazil has been confirmed in Minnesota. And White House advisor Dr. Anthony Fauci is confirming that many people have suspected for some time that 2 masks are indeed better than one, particularly since more virulent strains of the COVID-19 have emerged across the globe. California officials lifted regional coronavirus stay-at-home orders across the state yesterday, a change that could allow restaurants and businesses in many counties to reopen outdoor dining and other services. President Biden has brought back Dr. Kevin O'Connor as his physician, replacing President Trump's doctor with the one who oversaw his care when he was vice president. And President Biden said today that the U.S. federal government would replace its fleet of vehicles with electric vehicles. Also, he signed an executive order to repeal a Trump-era ban on most transgender Americans joining the military alongside Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell announced he'll allow the 50-50 Senate to officially organize so Democrats can take control of the key committees in the chamber after a week-long battle with Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer over the rights of the minority to stall legislation. The Justice Department's internal watchdog will investigate whether any department officials sought to have the department overturn President Biden's election win. The House impeachment managers formally triggered the start of former President Trump's second impeachment trial last evening after they walked across the Capitol and delivered to the Senate the charge against Trump, the first president in history to be impeached twice, wearing black masks and walking 2 by 2 through the very halls where rioters had overtaken the Capitol earlier this month in a deadly siege. The impeachment managers were led into the Senate chamber by the lead impeachment manager, who read the article of impeachment. Donald Trump's incendiary speech at the Stop the Steal rally on the 6th of January has been replayed and dissected endlessly on news broadcasts, and so has footage of the ensuing riot and invasion of the Capitol. But a new video released yesterday seeks to connect the two events, intercutting the then president's words with recordings of the crowd, soon to become a mob, cheering him on and chanting encouragement to storm the Capitol. Donald Trump opened an office in Florida yesterday that will handle his duties as a former U.S. president and seek to further his administration's agenda. The Supreme Court declined to hear a case concerning whether former President Trump violated provisions of the Constitution that bar a president from profiting from a foreign government. And an election technology company that has been the focus of consistent conspiracy theories by Donald Trump and his allies has sued the former president's lawyer Rudy Giuliani for defamation after he pushed the big lie about election fraud on his podcast and TV appearances. Dominion Voting Systems is seeking more than $1.3 billion in damages. We also do have President Biden signing an executive order that strengthens the existing Buy American rules by closing loopholes and reducing waivers granted on federal purchases of U.S.-made goods to ensure that American manufacturing is part of the engine of the country's prosperity. Exactly 1 year ago today, it was Kobe Bryant who was lost to the sporting world, and memories are now in full swing there as his loved ones commemorate the first anniversary of his death. Vigorous efforts are needed for Russia and the United States to reach a deal on extending the New START nuclear arms control pact before it expires next month. According to the Kremlin, Russia formally protested to the U.S. Embassy in Moscow over social media posts it said promoted anti-Kremlin demonstrations and accused U.S. tech giants of interfering in its internal affairs. Russian opposition activist Alexei Navalny has outmaneuvered Putin at every turn despite being in prison. And it is the U.S. military exploring the possibility of using a Red Sea port in Saudi Arabia and additional 2 airfields in the kingdom amid heightened tensions with Iran. The possibility of conflict with Iran prompting the military to begin using several extra ports and bases in Saudi Arabia for the first time over the course of the last year, according to the Wall Street Journal. Israeli troops shot and killed a Palestinian man suspected of trying to attack soldiers at a West Bank junction. And it is the death toll from Storm Eloise that has risen to at least 13 after heavy winds, rain and flooding destroyed buildings, drowned crops and displaced thousands in parts of southern Africa. And with some countries across Africa continuing to see increases in COVID-19 cases, there is concern about a new variant of coronavirus in South Africa. You're listening to the World News on Radio Caravan. Italian Premier Conte went to the presidential palace to offer his resignation today after a key coalition ally pulled his party's support over his handling of the pandemic. And it is in a vast makeshift courtroom in the region of Calabria, the toe of southern Italy's boot-shaped peninsula, that 350 people went on trial in the biggest and most important organized crime trial in more than 30 years. Britain's COVID vaccine supply is in jeopardy after the European Union threatened to block exports of the Belgian-made Pfizer jabs amid a row with the UK-based AstraZeneca. Greek police announcing a ban on large gatherings for a week for public health reasons, and thousands of Australians defied the coronavirus rules to protest the country's National Day, held on the anniversary of British colonization of the vast continent that its indigenous population marks as Invasion Day. Indonesia has passed more than 1 million COVID-19 cases, and Taiwan, claimed by China as its territory, has been on the edge since the large-scale incursion by Chinese fighters and nuclear-capable bombers into the southwestern part of its air defense identification zone. A U.S. aircraft carrier group led by USS Theodore Roosevelt has entered the South China Sea to promote freedom of the seas at a time of U.S. concern about China-Taiwan tensions and Beijing asserting its maritime agenda. A group of UN experts has criticized Sri Lanka's requirement that those who die of COVID-19 be cremated, even if it goes against a family's religious beliefs, and warned that decisions based on discrimination and aggressive nationalism could incite hatred and violence in this news out of Colombo. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu greeted his Indian counterpart, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, on the occasion of the country's 72nd Republic Day, saying our friendship grows from year to year. The Prime Minister also sported a special red turban gifted by the royal family of Jamnagar on the occasion of the 72nd Republic Day, continuing his tradition of wearing ethnic turbans on Republic Day. Prime Minister Modi. India reporting over 9,000 fresh coronavirus cases in a day, the lowest in around 8 months. Pakistan has warned that attempts by the aspirants of permanent seats on the UN Security Council, India, Brazil, Germany and Japan, to railroad efforts to reform the 15-member body would kill the consensus-based process to make it more effective representative and accountable. South Africa were bowled out for 220 on the opening day of the first test against Pakistan in Karachi today. And the federal capital will have an observatory and a space museum which will not only resolve moon sighting issues but also provide astronomers the opportunity to study the cosmos.